Okay.
The batteries are tied in parallel to the engine, so when the engine's running and it's on 1 and 2, it'll recharge both the engines. Or both the batteries,
Right.
I'm sorry. But if you wanted to stop and hang out and just use your house stuff, you can flip it to 2 or over to 1 because they're both tied in parallel. You can use either as a house battery or just a cranking battery.
Okay.
But I like to have it to where you're always cranking on 1 and 2 so that when you go to crank back, you always have 1 in the hole. Like you always have 1 that's charged. So it'll always be ready. Also inside that locker is auxiliary and USB for your phone that's connected to the kicker. And the other one's a 12-volt battery outlet. You can use like a spotlight or another phone charger if you wanted to.
Right. So that's like a cigarette lighter type plug?
Mm-hmm.
Okay.
Just like it.
You want to make sure you don't, while the engine's running, and you don't turn that to the off position.
Yeah.
Yeah.
If the engine's running, I really probably wouldn't touch this at all. If you're going to, you'd kill the engine and then flip your battery switch. If you flip it while it's running, you could pop the main fuse on the motor. It's a 60 amp fuse. It's not hard to replace, but it would do that as a safety measure instead of messing anything else up on the boat. When you turn the key switch on, it's going to engage the multifunction gauges. Will come on, power up. You see right there's your hour meter.
Right.
This is 91. This gauge is your tachometer. It's showing you RPM and your trim height. So you'll see it once you get down past the secondary rams, it'll start dropping.
Yeah.
That way you know when you go to take off initially, you want it tucked under for when you go to put up on plane. Me, I like to get on plane pretty quick, which this boat will plane out in 4 to 6 seconds.
Right.
Jump up on top. But planing out that quick will help you not burn as much fuel. Because you're burning a lot of fuel dragging butt trying to get on top. So if you go ahead and put it on top and then back off of it, it's the best way for fuel economy to me. Hitting the mode button, you'll see it switched over to pressure. This is oil pressure for the engine, or block pressure. And it'll ride about the 3rd prong, unless you're full bore heating it up. Creating pressure, you'll ride about the 4th prong. And hitting the mode again, you'll see coolant, what's flowing through the engine, the water that you're sitting in. And again, 3rd or 4th prong, unless you're really heating the engine up. And hitting it again, it will show you the voltage meter. The multifunction gauge can only read 1 battery at a time, so when you hit set, it'll show you a digital readout and you'll see 12 volts.
Right.
But since they're tied in parallel together, you know they both have 12.
Right.
When you're running down the river, you'll see about 14.8 since it's doing its recharge. And then the speed and fuel tachometer, this is where you'll see mile per hour and your fuel gauge. Right now there's probably about 45 gallons in it. Hitting the mode, you'll function through these. The trip right now is how many miles the boat has been total. So about 800 miles. And you can zero that out if you hit both of these at the same time. I like to keep the trip up there because it's a good knowledge if you ever go to resell it.
Right.
And then the flow, this is cool to me because it's showing you a real-time feed. From that RPM, it's going to show you how many gallons per hour you're going to burn. That would be a good judge because once you're up on top and you've come back down and you've got your trim right, you know what RPM to run to get the best fuel mileage possible.
Right.
And they do it a real-time feed because the weight of the boat's always changing. What you have inside the boat, how many people's in it.
Right.
And that's really the big factor in how much fuel you're going to burn is how much weight that motor's pushing, how much load's on the motor. Hitting it again, showing you economy, which is kind of similar, but it's miles per gallon. How many miles you'll get out of a gallon of gas. And then the total is how many gallons have been burned through it total. And so just from what we know, it's been 900 miles and burned 300 gallons of gas. Almost 300 gallons of gas.
Okay.
I really do like to zero that one out on my trips though when I go out, because if you guys have one place you like to go to a lot, it's zeroed out now. You know how many gallons it took you to get to where you want to go. You know how many gallons you need to get home.
Yeah.
You don't leave you stranded. But those are the multifunction gauges. The kicker itself, right now it's on a tuner. I don't really know the radio stations out here, but it'll find you. That one's gonna cycle through your radio stations. Hitting the source, you can function over to Bluetooth if you want to hook your phone to it. When you're in Bluetooth, if you're about to try and hook up to it
let's
now,
go ahead and do it.
we'll do it all together. Hit menu, and the first thing that pops up is the enter pairing mode after you've hit menu on the Bluetooth. Now it's in pairing mode, so you should be able to see it, and it'll be multimedia or media center. Turn this off.
Media center. Okay. It's connected.
That's your Samsung right there.
Yeah.
I like the sound system in this thing. It'll make wake.
Well,
Oh, cool.
I said about 20 years really loud.
On Silvertown Way, the Queen stand high,
that sounds good.
quiet and
Okay.
green. It's the still
We'll let that go.
Very
Horn,
cool.
Okay.
nav, and anchor. Hitting it one time is going to light up both because they're running the nav port in the front, which are recessed LEDs.
Right.
See?
Okay. Yeah. Okay.
And it's also running the anchor light at the top. I mean, you hit
Okay.
that one button.
Okay, yeah.
This
well,
one is
that's
just
what you
going to
have,
do the
like-
anchor
Okay.
at top.
Anchors down.
Okay.
Bilge pump, we showed you it's
Yeah.
a float and a
Right.
pressure. This is your manual turn on for it. If either one of the pressure sensor or float switcher come on, it'll light up blue like that to let you know that they're running.
Okay.
The aerator pump to fill the live well.
Okay. So now, and I've never had anything like that. So you fill this with water?
It'll fill from the same seacock that the raw water is pulling from.
Okay.
It's pulling in the water you're sitting in so that the fish you're trying to keep alive will be in their same
In the
habitat.
same. Okay.
A hint. Get away from the stock. It just pulls it all kinds of
Yeah.
crap.
Yeah.
There's a pretty good strainer on it as far as the seacock goes, and there's a strainer on the pump itself, so it's not pulling in either. But yeah, you're right. You get away from any kind of crap you don't want to pull in there.
Yeah.
And then the washdown pump.
Now that's for the
Raw water.
Raw water. Okay.
It's under this combing board here, and it's just like the freshwater one at the rear you saw. So it'd be like a little cool hose you can put
Okay.
on it. This one's the one you're gonna want to wash, like fish scales, blood,
Right.
parts out the bottom. The other one you want to use to wash your feet off, or something like that.
Right.
Wash the boat out, really. A lot of people do.
So what lights do you look for when something's gone wrong?
Talking about pumps or engine? Pumps, you'll have a breaker here. So if any one of the pumps fails, you'll check the breaker there.
Okay.
They're push-in tabs. I'll show them to you. These are just rubber caps.
Right.
That white part would actually pop out if it
Right.
was a failed breaker.
Okay.
You'll be able to feel it behind it. And if you do have a pump fail, for whatever reason, check the pump and then call me. You call me first. I'll say check the pump. Check the breaker.
Okay.
Once you've checked the breaker, then we'll be able to go from there.
Okay.
Usually it's something the pump has failed. They will over numbers of years
Right.
get worn out, especially if they're ever run dry.
Okay. And then what do we look for here?
That's
This
tachometer
tachometer.
and speedometer.
At the top corner, if you have anything alarm system, there's a beep and buzzer sound that you'd have alarm, but there'd also be a check engine light at that top corner, and that's where it'll show up when it's ready for its 200-hour service.
Okay.
And 300, 400, every 100 hours for as long as the boat's alive.
Okay.
About 700 hours, you're going to want to do valve adjustments, but you won't have to worry about that for a long time. That's every boat motor.
So after every 100 hours,
It's
you gotta take it in, or what?
Yeah,
what do
you'll get motor oil, gear oil, oil filter, fuel strainer, and fuel water separator. And then grease all the pivot points anywhere it's moving or articulating. And then courtesy lights, which are down by your feet on both sides.
Okay.
Oh,
Yeah, I
under the
see.
gunnels?
Yeah, well,
Okay.
they're
Right
here.
there.
Oh, okay. Yeah, I see that.
The next one was open accessory. Oh, make sure. 2, 3. Trying to make sure which one's the fresh water. Let me open the cap. That was not me. That was your
No, that
No,
was
the air
air
conditioning, right?
accessory one. Is your fresh water. The
Okay.
next 3 are open accessories. So if you ever wanted to tie anything on to them.
Okay.
How big is the freshwater tank on this?
I think it's 30 gallons. It's a pretty big tank for fresh water. The next would be the Garmins, which I'm not as familiar with them as I am the Simrad stuff we usually use.
Yeah, I know you had mentioned you like Simrad better.
I like them a whole lot better. But for the deal, this one was,
Yeah, since it was free.
yeah.
This is Striker.
Striker.
Yeah. At the model.
Oh, I have no idea. I think it's a Echo Map SV.
Okay.
Yeah.
That's different than mine.
Oh, I'm sorry.
Yeah, I think you have to. Yeah, this isn't a
I've done the
touchscreen.
charts.
My laptop.
Navigation chart is going to show you where you are exactly. And you can zoom in and out using those buttons.
And see, it'll tell you how deep the water.
Those numbers out there are projected depths
Right.
for that area, and then you have channel markers you can see. The green and red. I like them, especially when we try and get over to this. Where Blackbeard Sailing Club is,
Uh-huh.
you know, scrolled over and hit select, and you got Marine Services. So it kind of tells you a little bit about that area.
Oh.
Some of them that have been traveled to more will tell you more information about them. Like if you can get fuel there or use their facilities for
Right.
anything. But you also have that go-to navigation. So you hit go-to, it's going to draw you a straight line to it. Obviously, it's going to go across land. So use the waterway.
Now, does it have waypoints already set up in there?
They're not set up in there. So anyone that you want to make, like you'll get to an area that you want to be in.
Mm-hmm.
Like if you found a honey hole or something, and you can create a waypoint. That one will be 0.01, but you can make your own information about it.
Mm. Chart notes, okay.
Yep. So you'd make your own notes about it. Back. You can name it what you want to name it. Give it a symbol, and it's got its own position. Since we're not actually over it, it doesn't remember the depth of the area
Right.
Okay.
or the water temperature at the time you did it. Home button, take you back out. The next one you'll be able to use sonar, which you have a lot of different options as far as sonar go. Traditional obviously is going to be your down view. It's going to be a
Right.
chirp. I'm not sure what it is for these as far as symbols of fish. I know most of them is like a half moon shape.
Right.
And then you have side view as well, which is going to draw, that's the center line. What'll actually be the floor will be out here,
Right.
and then what's on the bottom of the floor will be on the side.
Oh, interesting.
And you can do any combination of those as far as split screens, clear view, and side view. Clear view is using that same technology that structure scan is, but to just do it down under you. And then combinations where you can do your chart and your navigation. Well, this one's chart and clear view, because most of the people, when they do get these Garmin's, that's the one thing that Simrad doesn't have, is that clear view, which is really nice. I like using the clear view stuff. This one has your chirp, down view, clear view, and your chart all at the same time. If you ever wanted to, you can tie the engine to this and get the gauges, where you'd have engine gauges if you wanted to. It's always an option to add on if you wanted. But these multifunction gauges are going to tell you so much more than
Yeah.
it would on there. User data, it's kind of where you can attune it to you, where it'll know who you are. But this is also where you'll see your waypoints, the waypoints you have made. Like this one that I made, I'm going to go ahead and delete it. But anyone that you've made and you want to revisit that area, you can go to user data. Let me go back. Go to that user data, waypoints, and then you can
You
see which
select, okay.
waypoints
Right.
you've dropped. And you can go back to those. They're still really intuitive. Not as much as like obviously I like being able to play with that Simrad, because it's almost like your phone. You can click and drag all over it if you wanted to. But these are still really intuitive instruments.
You okay?
Now I have.
And the captain's chair.
Yeah.
Doing the customizing home, you can rearrange it to what you want to do.
What's the man overboard?
Man overboard.
You hit that.
If he goes off or you go off, you'll hit man overboard, and since these are NEMA connected together, it'll go ahead and send its distress beacon.
Ooh, cool! I like that.
I do believe you can get online, since I don't know. You might have to get behind there and get the serial number off of it, but you can register this online with Garmin. That way, if you do hit the distress beacon, like if you're allergic to anything, like I'm allergic to penicillin, and if I was allergic, and like if I go out and have an allergic reaction and I hit the distress beacon and they come out there and treat me with like amoxicillin or
Oh,
something,
yeah.
I'm not gonna make it back to land. It's just
Good
a good
idea.
little
Yeah.
bit of information.
Okay.
Now, this.
And that's the mic for it. You just pull straight up. Clips in really good.
Yeah. What I'm trying to.
Selecting, and that's the volume.
Yeah, I'm just trying to get like to weather.
I'm not sure what the weather band station
It's
is.
2 here.
Should have been 1 to 3. We got 1. You probably know a lot more about VHF or
No,
than
I
do.
don't. I don't.
I don't ever use them. I give them power and ground.
Okay, well, we can.
We can play with
It's
that
weird.
later.
I've worked on boats my whole life, and I think I've been offshore maybe twice. Ever.
Okay.
All right.
That's pretty much all the information I have.
What are all those things
Oh,
up
I
there?
forgot some more buttons.
Yep. Hey, you gotta have the buttons. Okay, so you push that in. Push
Oh,
it
do you?
in to change.
Tilt and trim. You got misters.
This one.
It's taken out. They like to mess up after years. I guess I should have thought about that one. He's gonna have to send you the plate for the trailer, so I'll put 2 of these in the bag with
Okay.
it. Which they just screw right in. I didn't even think about replacing those. You got white and red for
Spreader
at night,
lights.
and then
Yeah.
spreader lights.
Oh.
Inside there, you have power up top. That way, if you
Okay.
wanted to add anything like another VHF or emergencies or something,
Right.
you can add it on there, and it'll be tied to that accessory.
Accessory. Okay.
Cool.
Oh, that's just like for your wallet or whatever.
Yeah, you can put whatever you want to in there. Which I guess for the first little while, I'd probably keep like bill of sale and stuff like that
Yeah.
in there.
So, what key locks them?
These don't lock up here. Which ones? The door locks. So we might have to. I don't know if we ever got a set of keys for it. Let me look up top. I do have some extra hose.
Okay.
This is this is stuff they use to do the Mr. pumps.
Yeah.
If you want to keep that, you can keep it if you want to.
Yeah.
There's only one other door in here that locks, and it's that one. That one, right there. I don't know if we got any keys for this.
There's your table in there, Brenda.
Okay.
There's a porta potty. Just in this nasty box, you probably want to pull it out. What's wrong with it? That one will go under your feet.
Right. And then there's the front.
I wonder if my key would fit this.
I don't know. See where he put that
I'm gonna say where that.
hole is. I think he put it in here. Yep. See that?
Okay.
Where does it
Turns
turn?
and locks. And I don't know if you guys got babies that come on the boat. That's where all the wet goldfish end up. Or any kids that go on the boat, that's where all the wet cheese crackers go.
Oh, okay.
But yeah,
Just storage under
fill the
here?
boat up. This one is.
No,
this
I don't
is-
think so.
This is when you're down in under here.
There's a little bit
It
of
goes
room under.
forward.
But you've got a casting bucket there.
Okay.
Put casting net in. And those 2 lockers. These both are insulated, so you could also use them as like a cooler if you wanted to.
I might have to get one of those for mine, man.
Those are really easy install
They're
too.
not
Yeah.
expensive.
Really easy install.
That was my
Yeah, 14.
my special.
14, number 14 in there.
Here, let's just.
Pull it out of the box.
Yeah, that'd probably be the best idea.
Or pull the box away from around it.
There you go.